Welcome back, everybody, to Hacked in the Dark, Deathwish by Ian Hart, part 2 of episode 6. Where were we, Ian?
The players had just found out that the town they are in is going to be sieged at nightfall by the dreaded Akalut and its Awizotla pack. And they've now got time to make preparations before night falls.
All right, so we need to track this thing down to its source if we have a chance of defeating it.
Mm-hmm. And then I say we set a trap and we hunt it down.
What sort of trap do you have in mind?
Bear trap. The best type of trap.
So
Okay, let me get this straight, Grigsby. You want to trap water inside a trap.
You must think like water to defeat water.
You can't even turn into water. How can you think that?
I'm going to try and turn into water with my dry wood shape and see where that gets me.
Does not get you very far.
Yeah. In fact, I wonder if Grigsby is actually more immune to being taken over by this thing than the rest of us are.
Yep, totally immune.
You got a lot of immunity.
I got special abilities. It just costs me feeling anything. It just costs me feeling anything.
Well, good for you.
No, it's not. I have a death wish, okay? Some of our fans reminded me after last episode. Like, hey, wait a minute. Okay.
Miss Irma, do you have anything in your potions? You tend to know more about this stuff. Is there you were talking about something that might be able to follow a line of water back to the source?
I mean, yes and no.
All right.
We could use some bait to lure them out. Biggest thing would probably be to have them use this particular type of water source.
Okay.
So like get a barrel or something out there to where they could like use it. And then possibly using some red oil.
Okay.
I love the idea of barrel.
Essentially, if we were to do that, we could just follow the oil slick back.
Okay.
Without trying to set the whole forest and swamp on fire, but I'm totally for that, okay, as well. Yes. Like, we could totally just set this whole thing up in flames and just be done with it.
Sure,
but I think our host would not appreciate that.
Wet, and therefore...
Well, it is a fire swamp. They keep the trees well back from their walls.
Okay.
And there are regular natural burns that go through the swamp.
Yeah.
All of the plants and animals here are adapted to that sort of thing.
Out here, fire is a way of life. Woo!
So if there were a couple of or three barrels outside of the walls filled with this stuff, and we gave them reason to maybe filled with water and this stuff, would we think that they would have reason to draw from these barrels just because it's a conveniently available water source if we made sure that there wasn't any other water right around there?
They've probably got enough water coming out of the swamp,
right.
But they might be interested in more bodies to take over.
Oh, goody. Okay. Do we have any bodies available that just
nope.
Available?
No, every time that the creatures have killed someone, they've made a point of stealing the body and taking it away with them.
All right. And I'll
bet at least you served your purpose.
Yep. And would we say that most of the animal life or larger animal life from the immediate vicinity has been taken as well?
Most likely, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw those skunk apes earlier. Those were definitely natural, so it's not like it's wiped out the biome or anything.
I wouldn't be surprised if it has some that it uses for this purpose as well.
Mm-hmm.
The only thing I can think of is using ourselves as bait. I can kill off the beetle, but the beetle is the only thing that's really going to help us be able to get out of here.
Yeah, no,
If
I
we
think
need
that's
to.
too important for us.
I have a way we can find it. I bet you if we could just pay off one of these local hobgoblins that they know where this thing is, deep in the sewer of fire.
If they know where it is, why wouldn't they be telling already?
Somebody knows.
Because
Yeah, if follow that logic through, Grigsby.
So somebody, I mean, okay, so it's a big, they're aware of this fire, the fire water demon, right? So someone know, like, and they don't know where it lives, but they're not the only ones who live in the swamp.
That's true.
So somebody knows where this water thingy is hiding, and we got a sack of gold we can bribe them with.
Well, I do also wonder, does Elise and Irma, are we more susceptible to getting taken over because we use the water bending ourselves?
Opposite. You are able to directly resist it and push back. So you're more resistant.
So we are more resistant. Great. Awesome. So wait a second, Grigsby. So let me get this straight. If your idea doesn't work of bribing them, Elise and I can waterboard them into talking. Yes?
Well, I thought we were going to hunt them down. I was just saying that we could get a local to show us where the water thing is hiding.
So the townspeople let you know that there are people who choose not to live in the town and who live out in the swamp. They certainly haven't tried to reach out to them during this, but you could use one of your fortune rolls to have Grigsby go out and try to find them and talk to them. I would say that's probably a survey fortune roll to see who you can find, and then it'll probably be an emote fortune roll to convince them to tell you what you want to know, and that'll use up all your time before nightfall.
Okay. Still don't know how to kill them though, or to do that part.
Well, if the first part is knowing where this thing is holed up, so if you could figure that out, Grigsby, that would be a feather in your cap, as it were.
That was an inside thought. Okay. Roll 3D.
Inside thought of the crew, or inside thought of Grigsby, or
exactly.
just keep it inside the walls of the town. Which one is it, Grigsby?
My impression is that Grigsby's inside thoughts turn out to be outside thoughts, whether he intends them to be or not.
I don't think he has inside thoughts. He can't
86.
feel anything. I doubt he can actually think inside.
This is getting real philosophical.
You spoke it into existence. You were hating, and the rolls reflected that.
So on a fortune roll, a 3 still means you have limited effect. So you do go out there, and you do find the shack of one of the trappers who lives outside of town, and you slip into the shack all quietly, but you see there's blood all over the place. And no sign of the inhabitant. However, you follow the trail of blood, and you do see that it leads down into a particularly deep spot in the swamp. So that may be a spot where the Acolyte, or at least some of its minions, are hiding.
Okay, so to reflect the last scene, Grigsby was super full of himself when he was going about it, but then he got super scared when he saw the blood trail and ran back to the gang to get them before we arrived.
Okie doke.
You didn't follow it?
No? Spooky.
All right, well, Grigsby, how about you show me where it is?
Grigsby doesn't want to live, but he also still gets scared. So he's going to show bring both Irma and Jack.
All right, so you come out to this deep lake, and it's formed down river of the where the river washed out that thing, and it's a pool of water that has been dammed up by probably a hydra in the past. They're big dam builders.
What is a hydra?
They're big multi-headed lizard monsters. They like to build dams and live underwater. But you haven't seen any hydrolings around. You would guess it went away a long time ago. They also can't breathe underwater, so it would have surfaced by now, just from you guys standing here and watching.
Sure. So no, but there is a blood trail down to the water.
Yeah, it stops at the edge of the water.
So something dragged this this poor fella down there.
How old does the blood look? Is it coagulated yet?
You'd guess it's within the last day.
Interesting.
Does anything look out of place?
If you want to use another of your downtime, or sorry, your fortune rolls to investigate, you can go for it. But there's not anything obviously out of place.
Hydras, underwater hydras, they would probably have kind of like a beaver. They would have a underwater cavern or something with an air pocket or something in it for them to be able to breathe in and such, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So whatever is in this lake or this part of the swamp, there is an underwater cavern to this.
That's likely, yeah.
I think Irma is going to go up to the water's edge or like closer to it and see if she can bend it, see if she can tap into it, but how much resistance there is to her.
Sure. What action do you want to use for that fortune roll?
Let's see. How would Irma go ahead and go about this?
Emote is always good.
Yeah, I was thinking I probably emote.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, draw would also be valid because you use them like limbs. So whichever is better for you.
Just put on the soundtrack to Lady in the Water, one of the worst movies I ever saw. Soundtrack's pretty good though.
6. Nice.
6.
Yeah.
All right. So the your water tendrils reach down, and in the water you feel there's definitely something else fighting you for control. And once it notices your arms, it like races back up around your arms, and water spikes like come out of the water. And but you're well prepared, so you just like step back, and they're blind, so they can't hit you. And you probe down again, this time more carefully, and this time, sure enough, you find the cave under the dam, and there is something in there, and you feel it, and it feels like there is a hydra in there, but a dead one. And after a moment, the other water source cuts off your water, and you snap back to where you are on the surface.
Cool.
So she kind of just puts her hands back in her pot. All right.
Oh, the other thing you notice. Sorry, that's a greater effect when you get a 6 on the fortune roll. So the other thing you notice while you're searching the water with your tendrils is that there are a ton of Awizotla down there, and that they're swimming up towards the shore right now.
Oh, great.
Recommendation that we all stand back like a lot right about now. And there's a dead hydra under there.
Right.
And if Grigsby were to dig right about here, we can just drop some dynamite or something in it and go booey and be done with it.
Sounds like a plan to me. So, the dig.
Well, step away from the water first.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So
right,
you
right.
back up,
Yep.
and you take a nice hiding spot, and the Awizotla come up out of the water. And they look just like you've seen them in textbooks, and perhaps you've seen them before. They're big panther-like creatures, and they've got a tail made of water that they swish behind them like a panther would with its tail. And they patrol the shore for a little while, looking for you guys, and then slip back into the water.
Ooh, we got to jump on them.
See, because my water tentacle touched the other water tentacle. I'm not going to explain it to you, Grigsby. It's too graphic, but we pretty much need to use some red oil and such and blow it all up.
The plot thickens.
I think we found our source.
So the Awizodla would we expect these to be related to?
Yeah, they serve an acolyte if there is one.
Okay, so so we would expect that this might be nearby where the acolyte is based.
Yeah.
Okay.
What would lithium ink do? Would it interact with this stuff?
I don't think there's any direct interaction. If the lithium ink can be used to influence the minds of the Awizotla or the acolyte if they drink it.
Mm-hmm. So we know where the cave that the Hydra was in, the dead Hydra is in.
Mm-hmm.
Did you have a sense, Miss Irma, whether there was anything else in there?
Oh, there's something definitely in there. I'm guessing it's residing in there and probably manipulating the body of the Hydra.
All right. Well, what if? So, is there a way to get red oil down into that cavern?
I mean, all we have to do, it's an oil, float the top of this swamp area.
Mm-hmm.
They float the entire surface because oil spreads, and then all we need to do is anchor them so they come up, and then we can ignite the whole thing. But this is a nice area, but we'll probably set a decent portion of it on fire.
I think that's a reasonable price to pay under the circumstances.
In the distance, a flame jet just burns a tree.
Yeah.
You just see it happen.
It's not like fire is foreign to this place.
To the fire swamp, no.
Yeah.
Did you bring any marshmallows?
A little bit of fire. So we can say that we have enough red oil.
That'll be a pack roll from somebody with a supply of red oil to see if they have enough.
All right. Well, I have 1 dot in pack.
Same.
Does anybody have better than that?
Let me double check.
Group action.
I have 1 in pack.
Can I set them up by making the barrels?
Like floating out some barrels of red oil?
So
well, I'm not. Yeah. You could. So you could each roll if you want to each do it, because remember we're still in the fortune rolls of time until nightfall.
Right.
So you could, but it's only if you want to spend, because each of you, if you've only have 1 pack, you each only have 1 point of supply.
Right.
And you might not want to all commit that to red oil.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Although red oil seems pretty useful.
Yeah.
It's been our go-to.
Or we could just do a supply of Anbar and just freeze the entire lake in time and be done with it.
Also, red oil is an exclusive item to the Flame Knight playbook. So if you don't have that one,
okay,
you don't have any with you.
Then that would be Irma.
That would be Irma, yeah.
All right.
Irma, it's your plan, your play.
Yeah, I can have a supply of it.
Okay. And then
but also, Anbar might be really fun.
So
they would have, think about it. They would have a permanent ice skating rink.
Anbar is very sticky, but it has to completely enclose something to freeze it in time.
Right. So we'd have to enclose this entire lake thing.
That was the stuff we were dealing with last time, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the Kraken's tentacles could squirt it out.
That was annoying.
And Irma has a supply of Anbar for free. because of her goblin mutation.
Mhm.
Explosion versus sticky bomb.
Well, we've been going with fire and explosion, and it's been working really well for us.
It's true.
That seems to be our signature kind of move here.
I think one of the next bits we should do, because we only have so many free actions, fortune rolls left, we should figure out how to properly fight a Hydra, because we will probably have to do so.
Well, it's a dead Hydra that's animated.
Yeah,
Right.
so none of its natural abilities will work. It can't regenerate because it can't feel pain and so on.
Right.
So it's just a big monster.
But I think we already got that.
Traits.
Because if we don't go in the cave, they're not going to reanimate it. So if we lure them out, that already solves that problem.
Mm-hmm.
But the lake is the issue. The lake is where everything is coming from. As long as it has access to water and things that it's already been dragging down here for how long, it's going to keep making stuff. We have to end it at the source of the lake.
Grigsby never was good at science.
You didn't find any corpses other than the Hydra in the lake or the cave.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that would suggest it's either not right in this lake. This is just a secondary place for it. It's got these panther creatures hanging out here, but it's not there. Or it's got a bunch of bodies stored someplace else. Maybe there's another cave. Who knows?
I mean, do you guys want me to control a Hydra? I can control a Hydra, maybe.
It's difficult.
Would be difficult, but it'd be fun.
Elise could possibly help you.
Elise could definitely help me, and that would help even the odds.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
So just for starters, so controlling a body like that requires very powerful cocytus abilities. So you'd be starting at -0 effect there.
Right.
Elise would bump that up to 0.
But Ian, we're the Deathwish MVPs.
I'm not saying it's completely impossible. It's just a very, very difficult thing to do.
Yeah, we're starting at very poor effect. Well, I'm wondering if using a supply of red oil to coat the surface of this lake would be a good idea at this point. Is there a source of water flowing into this this body of water?
Yeah, this is the end point of that stream that cut across the road.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna test the stream the same way. Does that continue up? Does that resistance to me water bending kind of?
Yeah, if you want to
use
your last fortune roll for that instead of coating the lake with red oil, you could do that.
I think that might be a good idea.
That means somebody else is gonna have to coat the lake.
Well, I can pour stuff out of a barrel.
But we don't have any red barrel. You're the only one with red barrel.
Yeah, you're the only one who'd make the pack roll to have brought enough red oil.
Yeah.
Well, can Elise?
Yeah. Elise,
you could
pull
command
your weight.
Yeah. So Jack, if you want to make a hunt roll to command Elise, that could be your fortune roll.
All right, I would be happy to do that.
Mm-hmm.
I have 1 die in hunt.
Mm-hmm.
And
big money.
I think I am going to spend a point of morale and a point of stress.
Technically, you can't because it's.
Oh no, it's a fortune roll. Right.
Yeah.
I can't. All right, so it's just 1 die.
Yep.
All right, so I'll make that roll. All right. Sorry, the dice roller's being finicky. Ha!
Oh.
Yeah. Well, it's a fortune roll, so that's just limited effect. And so she prods in and gets repulsed as she goes along. So there's definitely water tendrils going this way. And she gets the impression that after it crosses the road, it spreads out and seems to connect to many points in the forest on that end. So she thinks that maybe it's connected to a bunch of creatures that are out that way. That's all she could tell.
So if the
Okay.
creature is in this lake, perhaps it's connected to a bunch of creatures out from the lake. In which case, we don't know any way to cut it off from them, do we? Other than just getting rid of water.
Yeah. If you could block the whole river, but it's a wide and
Right.
fairly deep, so it
Would
wouldn't
a
be an
bunch
easy
of dynamite
project.
do anything along those lines?
It would probably break the connection once, like just in the moment, and that's enough that it would lose any connections it had and would have to reform each of those connections manually.
So that would at least be an inconvenience for the creature.
Mm-hmm. And if any of the creatures it's controlling are alive, they would take that opportunity to run away, presumably.
Right. So I could use a point of supply to say I have a lot of dynamite, correct?
Right. And then you'd roll pack to find out if you've got enough.
Right. I have one dot in pack.
Don't forget, you do have one potential that you could possibly use, and this might be a good place to have it.
Yeah, especially because you'll also need a supply of weatherproofing if you want your dynamite to be able to work underwater.
Right. So.
Oh, you're a ranger. You could actually just take a supply of grenades instead, and they're already waterproof.
Yeah.
Hey.
That works. Yep. All right. So I will spend my point of potential on pack.
Mm-hmm.
So that brings me up to 2 dice in pack and 0 points of potential. And that would just be a fortune roll on that.
Yep.
2 dice.
Yeah, and that'll use up your last time before night.
Yep. Okay. So 2 dice. 5. 3.
3.
Sorry.
Yeah, and so you throw out your sack of dynamite or sack of grenades into the river, and boom, boom. The water connections, some are cut off, but you see a few tendrils arc around the outsides, and so it did not cut off all of the creatures. Probably you would guess half. Yeah.
Okay. All right. Well, that's
narratively
helpful
appropriate.
anyway.
What was that, Grigsby?
It's very narratively appropriate because we can't just blast our way out of this mud.
Not till the end of the scenario.
Yep.
All right. What are y'all doing? That used up my time.
Yeah, you've each got 1 left.
Red oil.
Pour that red oil. All right.
Oh, yeah.
So that'll be a pack fortune roll to see how much you can coat.
And I'm going to go ahead and put that second potential into pack.
It's a nice ability.
Better than barrel.
We'll see. Okay, you got a 4, so that's normal effect. And so you pull up a bunch of barrels and put them next to the lake and pop, pour out a nice thick coating of red oil over the whole top of the lake. And it's very slowly draining over the dam, but it'll be there for a while. All right.
Grigsby, no playing with matches.
Well, Grigsby is the last one to have an action before night falls.
I am going to try to talk to more people and see what else I can find from the dwellers in the outskirts and whatnot.
Okay, you can try to find another person in the outskirts. That'll be another survey roll. And then it will be night while you're still talking to them. So you'll be outside the fortifications when it happens. But if you found anybody who's alive, they've probably got their own defenses. So.
Okay. Yeah, let's do it. So that's a survey on 3.
Mm-hmm. 6. Okay, so that's greater effect. So not only do you find them, you go to their to a lodge that's built out in the on a high and dry rock, and you come in, and the place looks empty, but you hear a faint sound, and you move a carpet away and find a secret passage down into the basement, where there's a whole group of goblins sheltering down there, and you come in, and they're like, ah, and they're all pointing guns at you, and they realize you're a dryad, and they point their guns down. They're like, oh,
I'm glowing too.
Is the danger over?
Yes, it is I, Grigsby, your savior.
All right. And so since they've had no telegraph line and don't know anything about Grigsby, they're going to trust him completely and follow him back to town.
And then they'll find out he's a lying bastard.
Yeah, well.
Look at my party members. I'm sorry. That was both of you.
We were preemptively hand-pawing. I'm just like, oh God.
Did they tell Grigsby anything new?
No, he just found them and brought them back to the town. You can ask them questions now, but the sun has set. So we'll now be moving into using position and effect for action rolls. Before Jack and Irma leave, did you want to light the lake, or do you want to just leave it covered in oil?
How far is this lake from the town?
Well, it's just from the river, so like a mile.
A mile.
So like extreme plus 3-ish mechanically.
Be able to see it if it's a light and see things coming out of it.
Yep, and any of those things would get set on fire.
Yep.
But it wouldn't last as long, perhaps, and it would give away something. So I should ask. I agree that fire is a good plan.
Yeah. Well, it's good. That's good to know. So we expect that would, if we lit that right now, how long would that burn?
Probably 3 or 4 hours.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. Red oil is engineered to burn slow.
Right. Is it hard to light on fire?
Nah, you just drop anything flammable, anything on fire on it. Yeah.
All right. So if Irma's beetle had a torch and dropped, or Irma on her beetle dropped a torch in there,
Oh yeah,
that would do it.
Yep. And then just fly back to town.
Yeah. Would it make sense for Irma to be hanging out like high in a tree with her beetle ready to bug out, but able to light a torch quickly and drop it on there as soon as she sees anything funky coming out of the...
Yeah, as long as you've got one load for the torch.
I
Does
can just shoot it.
That's not gonna light it unless you've got flaming bullets. You don't.
I was checking too. I was like, I had a no.
Okay, so you want to so you're hiding up in the tree with a torch, and Jack and Grigsby are back in town when night falls.
Okay.
And
Giant freaking trap.
the sun goes down. It gets real dark. You almost can't see. And then you hear splish, and something is crawling out onto the shore. You can hear it, but you can't see it.
Light it up, suckers.
Whoosh, and you light up the torch, and you see the accolades coming out of the water, and the oil is coating their skin. They look up at you with their eyes are very bright, reflecting back the light from your torch.
You all ain't as hot as I am, suckers. Toss it.
All right, that will be a draw roll to throw something.
Okay.
Controlled normal. 6.
Ooh.
And the fire spreads across the lake rapidly. The Awizodals who are still connected to it turn and catch fire one by one, and they start burning, running around angrily. Your beetle takes off, startled by the fire, and starts heading back towards town. And so I will just go ahead and delete all of the Awizodla because they're not getting out of that alive.
Awesome.
Deathwish.
They're probably actually the ones that are hunting the humanoids and dragging them back down.
And not only that, but as you fly away, you see a Hydra corpse rise up out of the water, coated in oil and burning, and it slowly just climbs up onto shore. And the fire hurts it, but that's not enough to take it down.
Mhm.
That's fine. We need the most metal music playing in the background with this, by the way.
All right, and so you arrive back in town, and the goblins have formed up on the walls and are looking out into the darkness, terrified.
But they can see the fire a mile away.
Yeah,
You can
from the
see
Hydra.
a flaming Hydra walking towards them. Oh man.
All right.
Yep, and they're just waiting.
Do you guys have flame arrows, grenades, anything?
Yes.
Or do you all just sing at the enemy since you're canaries?
Well, the canaries are dead. These are the civilians that they left behind.
Right. What do they tend to be armed with?
So most of them have rifles.
Okay.
And then some of the ones who are guarding like the gate have spears.
All right. How do they find their rifles work against these enemy creatures?
So against the Akalutes, they're pretty effective, and against the bugbears, they're very effective.
All right. Have they seen this Hydra before?
No.
Oh, lucky us.
And that's when the bugbears arrive.
Yep.
So there is one thing I left out when I was explaining goblin biology earlier. Since goblins have mutagen running through their body, exposure to miasma naturally converts that into bug blood. And bug blood is similar to elixir in that it replaces damaged parts of your body. Except bug blood is triggered not by pain, but by revulsion. And it replaces your body, the missing body parts, with something drawn from your own fears and nightmares. That's bad. And worse is that it's toxic, and so it damages your body and spreads.
Mm-hmm.
And worse still, when it replaces your brain, it uses your own fears to replace it, and the creature that's left behind is called a bugbear. And so the bugbears that come out are all look like the missing goblins, but horribly twisted into nightmarish forms, and they come skittering out of the woods from every direction. There are scale 4 of them.
All right. So what do goblins tend to be afraid of?
So they just look like monstrous. They don't have any like supernatural properties.
Okay.
If there were any hobgoblins among them, they might retain the mutations they had, but you don't see any in the first wave.
All right. I think I would like to push for my fan the hammer ability to increase my my scale to be able to take as many of these guys out.
That'll get you up to scale 1.
Yep. They're scale 4, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Can I try to take out a portion of that? You know, I'm not trying to attack all of them at the same time. I'm trying to whittle them down. So can I essentially attack a scale 1 portion of the enemy?
Yeah, so you'll have to break them up somehow, because right now you could fire into them, but it's just not going to have an impact because there are so many, they'll just fill in the damage you've done. So yeah, if you can find ways to break them up into groups, then I'll split them into smaller scale
right.
enemies.
In that case, how about I use a point of load and throw a grenade? Would that make sense?
Sure. Yeah. And so, what are the stats for a grenade these days? I believe it has pretty high scale. Oh, it's actually only scale 1, threat 3.
Okay.
So, yeah, it's still not going to be high enough scale. It'll blast one group of them.
Okay.
If you were to use a supply of grenades, and you have a supply of grenades,
Right.
that would let you up the scale 1 by just handing them out to some goblins, or you could roll pack and
Right.
set up by handing it out to a big group. That might be enough to impact all of these bugbears.
All right. So how about I do a quick flashback to a little while ago, handing out grenades to the goblins and giving them some instructions about how to use them together.
Yeah. That'll probably, since you were busy during the day with other stuff, that'll probably be a 1 stress flashback, but it'll put you in controlled position instead of risky for doing it in the present.
Okay.
Can I help set him up for this?
Yeah, although if he's doing it in the past, you'll also have to flashback to set him up in the past.
Well, yeah, that'd be fine. It's mostly just like a telling of the hobgoblins of like, hey, we're gonna draw their attention first. So you're gonna yell and scream and get all of their attention and everything first, and then you throw, and that will help.
Yeah. So that'll probably be another setup that so he's doing a setup, you'll do a setup, and then they'll finally throw.
Setting up a setup. All right, so that's 1 stress for me. Is it a 1 stress flashback also for her, or would that be a 0 stress?
No. Yeah, because she's setting up the eventual future action of actually throwing the grenades.
Okay.
Lob City.
Yep.
All right.
So you're at looking at controlled normal right now, because you'll be bumping up 2 points of scale.
Okay.
You could push more effect if you want to give out even more grenades.
No, I think I'll just roll pack under the circumstances. So that cost me 1 stress. I'm going to use the 1 morale point that I have available to do that with.
Mm-hmm.
And I'll just roll my 2 dice in pack.
Yep.
And a 3. Oh, well.
All right. So since you were in controlled position, you can just try again at risky. You were like, oh, okay, I don't have enough grenades with me, but in my other backpack. And so risky here means you'll be risking using up your supply.
Okay. I'm willing to do that. So just another 2 dice?
Yep.
Cool. Okay.
All right. So you hand out a few grenades and then look, and as a consequence, you are out of grenades. You look and your bag is empty. Do you want to resist that?
No, I want to save my stress for the battle ahead.
All right. So yeah, in your flashback, you handed out a few grenades to a couple of goblins, but not enough to make up a scale.
Or maybe a few of the grenades succumbed to the effect of the swamp, and something leaked into them, something like that.
Yeah, the moisture got into them.
Mm-hmm. So
that makes sense.
As many functional grenades as I thought I had.
Yep.
What happens when Grigsby is the one who packs it all in? They rust. Yeah, and I guess that will move into my setup action then.
Okay. So what are you encouraging them to do?
Do they have a focus?
No, the bugbears do not. The Hydra does, but it's not in the fight yet.
Okay. Then I will probably not do what I was going to do. But I will go ahead and let me see. They're a bunch of hobgoblins. I can see the Hydra,
They're
right?
bugbears.
Bugbears,
yes.
sorry.
Yeah, you can see the Hydra way off in the distance. It's at probably extreme +1 by now.
But it's on fire, so it's easier to see.
Mm-hmm.
I could just bait the Hydra and make all the bugbears go after the Hydra.
You would guess that the bugbears are
probably wouldn't
probably the creatures that it's controlling. There is definitely water on the ground behind them.
So this is all one creature, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah, the bugbears might still be alive, but they're definitely being at least influenced.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna go ahead and use my black iron powder bottle. Because that can be used in water to confuse creatures that communicate.
Yeah, that messes up Lethian ink.
Will that mess with any of these guys with ambrosia?
So ambrosia stops you from manipulating stuff with alchemy. So if you could convince the acolyte to drink it, it would lose its ability to control water. But the acolyte is probably hiding either in the cave or inside the Hydra's corpse.
Yep.
Okay. So as of right now, the only good thing would probably just be to kill off as many bugbears as possible at the moment.
Well, they're at scale 4, so killing them is going to be really, really hard. The main thing you'd want to do now is break them up into smaller groups, divide their forces so that they can't all fight as one.
I think I have still a little bit of red oil left, and so I'm gonna just
you didn't spend your supply, so you've still got as much as you need.
Flash back to having set special barrels or stuff of it to be able to light later, to be able to separate, so it kind of like goes across the ground and whatnot to cut off water, evaporate any water supply or strings.
Okay, so to have set out barrels in just the part where they're actually attacking, I'm going to say that's probably a 2 stress flashback.
Okay.
And then the roll will be risky because you're using a lot of red oil, and the effect should be greater because that's going to separate them with fire, and fire bad.
Okay. Does anyone want to assist me with this? Grigsby.
Yeah, you can assist for for just the usual 1 stress.
Okay.
You don't have to flashback.
Okay. Because this will really help us be able to knock those bugbears out.
5. Okay, so you do have the barrels in place, but the consequence is that was the last of your red oil.
Oh, okay.
You want to resist that or take it?
Do I want to resist that or not? Should I do that, guys? I have some other stuff we can always use, but we haven't really come across everything else yet.
Yeah, and it will only be a partial resist, so you'll have only 1 thing of red oil left, even if you resist.
I think it's
probably
okay.
not worth spending the stress on that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
We'll manage.
I got it. It'll be fine.
So we're now back in the present, and your barrels are all set up. Somebody want to order the goblins to shoot them, or does somebody want to shoot them themselves?
I definitely will not want to shoot them. So
hobgoblins can pull their weight.
Okay.
I do have a task for the hobgoblins, though.
So ordering NPCs around is a hunt action. So who wants to make that roll?
Well, I have 1 die in hunt. Anybody do better than that?
Nope.
Jack, why don't you just shoot it yourself? You're good at shooting, right?
I'm good at shooting. Yeah, but I don't have the scale.
To be able to shoot the red oil?
Oh,
yeah, there's only a few barrels.
Okay, all right. Then I'll make a draw roll to try to ignite the red oil. That's
Sounds
nice.
Risky greater. Yep.
Okay. 3 dice. 6.
Got it. Blam, blam, blam. And the barrels light up, and they're going to split the bugbear forces up. So, I'm on the wrong layer. Okay, so I'm going to reduce their scale by 1, and they're now divided into 4 smaller groups.
Those groups are each what scale?
3.
3. Okay. Well, that's getting us partway there.
Yeah. No, we're good. We're good. We're good. So Grigsby wants to convince the people that he just saved to help us, and he's gonna give an inspiring speech to the hobgoblins that mention saving trees and voting for Mayor Tom and always saying what's on your mind, but apologizing afterwards. And
So a rambling speech.
yeah, and then also
I think that's the only kind of speech Grigsby gives.
Yep.
he's gonna kick a crate, like a massive crate that they've been lugging with them all along in the jungle while they were, as they were digging, and it's gonna reveal a massive cracking gun. He's gonna tell the hobgoblins to help him carry it up to the ramparts where there's a good view.
Okay. So yeah, cracking gun. They should be able to lift pretty easily. I don't think you'd need a roll for that. It's only 4 load.
Then in that case, Grigsby's gonna enjoy himself a drink while he's watching them lift up the gun into place.
So it's a big old harpoon gun meant for hunting krakens, and they go ahead and mount that up on the wall. And do you want to direct them in firing with hunt? Or you were trying to inspire them to do it themselves with emote, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So I would say that's risky and normal.
Okay, I'll take my last potential and max out emote for 3. Risky, normal, and then I'll push for 1. Should I push for 1? That's too stress. That put me at 3.
So actually, sorry, normal isn't right.
Mm-hmm.
No, sorry, it's risky 0.
Okay.
Yeah, you're at normal
risky.
effect to inspire them, but 0 effect for them actually hurting the huge swarm with a single.
I don't want them to hurt the huge swarm. I'm just gonna have them set up for the Hydra that's coming.
Oh, okay, yeah. Then we can do the roll when the Hydra's actually here.
Okay, cool.
You do realize that Irma has one of those things in like her pot, right?
Well.
Yeah, some characters have more lift than others. There's
You wouldn't let me borrow it, and you weren't using it. So.
Oh, mine.
Inside.
My precious. He'd scratch the paint on you, baby. Don't worry. I protect you.
All right. So it looks like we're coming up on the 2-hour mark. Do we want to take another break? Think about tactics, or does somebody have something to do right now?
Yeah, when did you need to leave, Ray?
I have about a half hour left, but I'd appreciate if we maybe logged off a little bit so I could just rest myself between events.
Okay. Yeah. And then in that case, we'll probably have to split this into a 2-part episode. So maybe we'll just wrap up here because there's not that much fight left. Probably another hour or 2 episode of that. Okay. So yeah, let's call the episode here. Next time we'll pick back up with the defense of the Goblin Town. And then if we have spare time, you guys can plan out your attack on the king.
Okay. And just so we know, the king is who?
Orthane Kinslayer, the Raja of a Revenant horde.
Okay.
That would make a great replacement to my beetle one day.
We're getting there.
He won't last very long, especially how she keeps wearing out the beetles. Would never last.
Poor beetles.
So I'll leave the roll 20 just like this. Just don't erase any stress off your characters or anything like that, and we should be good to pick this up next time.
Okay.
Cool.
Ray, you want to?
Absolutely. So this has been another episode of Hacked in the Dark, Deathwish, Part 6. And 6.1, because we're also going to do part. But anyway, it's been great. This is Hacked in the Dark. We hail from the Blades in the Dark Discord. MK, you want to tell us a little bit about the Discord?
Yeah, it's a pretty decent and active server where many hacks have been created, like this one. Several other players here, as in Jack and Ray have both been working on stuff themselves, and yeah, making lots of fun, pretty active. We'd love to see you if you guys want to come out over there. Plenty of discussion. And we'll see you guys next week.
Ciao.